Hi, this is George from the Return of the King channel. If there's going to be a sign in the heavens on the day of the rapture, this is it. There's nothing after this that's even close. This looks good, really good. I'm looking for the tribulation to start on November 24th to the 25th. The story in the heavens looks perfect for the starting day of the tribulation on November 24th to the 25th. A blood moon in the constellation of the Lamb with Jupiter from the Revelation 12 sign in the constellation of the fishes, the Christian, is as good as it gets for a rapture sign in the heavens. In Joel 2:31, we read this: "The sun shall be turned to darkness and the moon to blood before the great and awesome day of the Lord comes." When Jesus died, this actually happened. The darkness began around noon and lasted 3 hours. At the same time, there was a blood moon on the other side of the planet, not visible in Israel. I'm speculating the same thing will happen at the rapture. It will be around noon in Jerusalem when the lunar eclipse first reaches totality. The eclipse will be a total eclipse for about an hour. When you look at the heavens from Jerusalem, the sun, Venus, and Mercury are in the constellation of Libra, judgment. Who's bringing the judgment? Jesus, the bright morning star. When the sun goes dark and the heavens appear, you will see these constellations of the rapture and the tribulation. Virgo, the bride of Christ who gets taken out before the tribulation, which will begin in about 2 weeks. It's the Lion of the tribe of Judah who opens the 7 seals and releases the 4 horsemen. The first horseman to be released is the rider of the white horse who has a bow. The tribulation will begin on November 24th to the 25th, when the covenant is confirmed by the Antichrist, whose symbol is the scorpion, and the Lion of the tribe of Judah opening the 7 seals and releasing the 4 horsemen. The start of the tribulation is based on Yom Kippur 2029. I'm using the 8th month on Torah calendar because in 2029 they start the calendar 1 month too early. 2,520 days prior to Yom Kippur 2029 is November 24th and 25th, 2022. At the start of the tribulation, the sun, moon, Mercury, and Venus are all in the constellation of the Antichrist. Mars is in the constellation of Taurus, Christ the judge. Jupiter is in Pisces. We are with Christ who is reigning from heaven. King David ruled for 7 years from Hebron and 33 from Jerusalem. Christ will reign like David for 7 years from heaven and then 1,000 years from Jerusalem. In the constellation of Capricorn is Saturn, representing Satan. Capricorn represents the atonement of Christ. On the Day of Atonement, a ritual is performed. Ken Johnson speaks of this ritual in his book, Ancient Messianic Festivals and the Prophecies They Reveal. The meaning of the ritual. It has been speculated that the scapegoat represents Jesus taking away our sin. That is one possible interpretation. If the information given in the Mishnah is correct, another picture emerges. 2 identical goats, one dedicated to God and the other dedicated to Satan. One goat represents the Messiah, the other represents the Antichrist. The only way to tell the difference between the Messiah and the Antichrist is to know the Lord's will by carefully studying the Word of God. This is a close-up view of the constellation of the Antichrist. The Antichrist is believed to come from the tribe of Dan, and the constellation associated with Dan is Scorpio. On the day the covenant is signed and the 4 horsemen released, we find the sun, moon, Venus, and Mercury all in the constellation of the Antichrist. In the scene from I, Pet Goat 2, the Antichrist has just been birthed. To the left of the sun, we see the tail of the scorpion. The sun is rising in the constellation of the Antichrist. Next, I'm going to show you the dragon descending from heaven. Now war arose in heaven, Michael and his angels fighting against the dragon. And the dragon and his angels fought back, but he was defeated, and there was no longer any place for them in heaven. And the great dragon was thrown down, that ancient serpent, who is called the devil and Satan, the deceiver of the whole world. He was thrown down to earth, and his angels were thrown down with him. What you see here are the constellations mapped onto a globe. It's on November 8th at 12 noon here, about 20 minutes after the hour, and the view is from Jerusalem. If we look over here, we see that the blood moon has just reached totality in the constellation of Aries. The dragon is sitting here high in the sky. Now, if the sky goes dark for 3 hours in the afternoon, you're going to see all the constellations here, including the dragon from Jerusalem. And what happens is, as time passes here, it's noon. If we go to 1 o'clock, 2 o'clock, 3 o'clock, 4 o'clock, the dragon is beginning to descend. The moon is now rising as the sun is setting in the west. And if we continue on, we see that the dragon is descending down towards the earth, towards the horizon, this yellow line here. And we see that the moon, symbolic of Christ coming to get his bride, we have the fishes up here, and Jupiter are rising high into the night sky. And as they rise high into the night sky, the dragon, Draco, is coming down to the horizon here. And you see the dragon is hitting the horizon, coming down to earth, just as the moon in Aries and Pisces, as we are ascending up into heaven to be with the Lord. And then what happens is, as the night continues on, the dragon, Draco, here you see him down here on the horizon. We see Cetus, the dragon in the sea who wants to devour the fish. He too is headed down to earth. And so you see the dragon here falling from heaven, and then you see the other dragon, the dragon who wanted to devour the Christians, has also reached the horizon, is sitting on the horizon now just before sunrise. I really think the rapture is going to happen during the blood moon, but if it doesn't, it should happen sometime before November 24th to the 25th. If we're still here after November 25th, we'll cross that bridge at that time. Everything looks good, really good, for the rapture to occur over the next 2 weeks. Hope to see you soon. God bless.